when it comes to relationships, people can share very many things, including nasty fluids. They can share everything, including that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to money, money is like a god, and they hold that with everything in them. I remember sitting with this insurance guy, and he was telling me, Pasi, there's something I want to understand. I have so many women, and it's more women who do insurance than men. But none of them have their husband
as a beneficiary.
as a beneficiary.
Yeah.
When you hear that you built together and the other person, once they made it, disappeared, chances are, if we explore, if we, investigate and go back and probe, in as much as you thought you were together, you are not together from the beginning.
How do you rebuild broken trust? What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Finance Friday. I am very, very happy and excited to have you guys on this particular episode. As you guys can see, I am joined by a guest, and I would actually want him to introduce himself. I know you guys have already seen the title of the video, so yeah. Welcome, Pastor Emmanuel. I'm really, really happy to have you here. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a long time coming.
I know.
I always get those notifications after Susan has said something new. So I get so excited to just, learn something new, how to save, how to invest. I'm just like, with that little money, I can get this.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate, first of all, what you're doing and you're doing for society.
Thank
so
you.
Well done. Congratulations. So for everyone out there, my name is Emmanuel and I am a relationship champion. That's what I like to call myself. I coach people. I counsel couples. I take them through premarital, postmarital, and just help them, when it comes to relationships. Been married 23 years this March. So I'm so excited about that. Nimereza, 23 years. So it's I know, right? So it's been a big deal. And I guess the reason I give back is because of the challenges we've had to overcome on this journey, and just realizing that we were not taught a lot of these things. And so many people are suffering as a result.
Yes.
So when you call me to just support people on this platform, I'm just like, I'm coming.
Thank you.
Even if it might be one word of wisdom.
We really appreciate it. You were telling me just a few minutes ago, so we are shooting at Sarova Pan-Afric, and you were telling me how you've been coming here for so many years. How long?
Yes. Since 1940.
What? Was I born?
I don't know, but since the 80s, early 80s, we've been coming here. My dad used to enjoy coming here for lunch. So we used to go to church down the street.
Yeah.
And so after that, instead of going home to eat and making my mom cook and stuff, so we'd pass by Sarova, Pan-Afric Hotel. Yeah. Then we'd eat, and then there were days we go swimming and stuff.
Oh, wow. What's been exciting? Because you told me, now that you've seen how, the place is looking, many, many years later.
So I think as a child, it looked a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then I left the country. And then when I came back to the country, one of my very close friends invited me for lunch. And we came to, Pan-Afric. He said, come Pan-Africa. I said, I'm there. And I arrived even early. But I think it's just to see the transition of how they've reinvented themselves. Yeah. Man, the interiors, I'm just like, what?
Imagine.
It's nice. In fact, even this spot that we are in, I was just like, I'm coming for a staycation.
Honestly,
I'm coming for a staycation.
Right? They need to hear that. Yeah, honestly, Sarova just actually turned 50. I learned that the other day. It's one of the leading chains of hotels in Kenya.
And they keep adding to their group of hotels, and they choose really amazing locations.
Definitely. Yeah. So guys, the next time you are in Nairobi, either for business travel, or even if you're not in Nairobi, they have bush satellites as well. Please, check out Sarova Pan-Afric. Now, guys, let's get into the topic of discussion today. Now, In February, I want to take you guys back to our Valentine's edition where we hosted Amos Ngahu, and we attempted, and you'll find out why I'm saying we attempted, to have a conversation around money and relationships. We touched a little bit on some of the red flags or even green flags that you should look for when you are dating and preparing for marriage. There's something he said, and it stuck with me, that marriages don't go wrong, they start wrong, which is why we actually started looking at relationships from the dating point, and how money is a big deal. Now today I am joined by the creme de la creme of relationships. When this guy tells you that he is a marriage champion, he really is. And actually, my husband and I are big beneficiaries of his work. And, I keep telling people time and time again that him and God have single-handedly saved my marriage, Yeah. Countless times. And today, Emmanuel, I really want us to get into a conversation around the power dynamics of relationships, because one of the things that came up from our conversation last time during our Valentine's edition was that while we are saying couples should budget together, plan for family projects together, someone actually told me in the comment section that, that all that you're saying, it's good, tick, 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 but nah, I would never do that with my husband, And so a lot came up in terms of trust issues and vulnerability issues. And in my mind, I was like, we could keep having this conversation and saying, and I'm especially from where I sit as a personal finance coach, couples who budget together, honestly, do way better. Than couples who don't. And that's just the reality from where I sit. Couples who are aligned in terms of investment decisions, which school will our children go, who will take care of what in the home, like we are of one mind and of one accord. I've even found that even though they might be a lower income household than others, that unity, exactly, you're able to do much more than people who are probably even 2 times richer than you. And the reason I felt the need to have you here is that you work with couples, you're a marriage therapist. I really need you to help us figure out this whole lack of trust, vulnerability issue, and power dynamics. Yeah. And maybe the first question I would have for you is, because you've worked with people in terms of in the marriage setting, what do you think is the greatest obstacle to finances that is non-financial?
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, that's a very good question. I think that's the question that everybody should be asking themselves. What is that big barrier that prevents us? Because the truth is, like you said, when it comes to relationships, people can share very many things, including nasty fluids. They can share everything, including that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to money, money is like a god, and they hold that with everything in them.
Yeah.
And they will fight, and they'd rather lose the relationship than lose money. And I find it very crazy and weird. But again, I feel there's a couple of things. One is the value that we place on money. All right. So money has become like the God. It has become the I guess the end all. This is what we exist for. So money doesn't exist to help us, but we exist for this thing. So that's, I think, the first problem. The second thing is, I feel like our background lends a huge, it's like a huge influence on how we perceive money. So a lot of us have grown up in homes. Anyone who struggles with money, if you go to their home or ask them, or just in counseling, what we do in therapy, you probe and ask and explore, and guaranteed, anytime you explore in these people, you hear, my dad used to do, my mom said, my dad said, and if that shapes and forms how we interact with money. And then it becomes now the code by which we live. I often think about one of the greatest, it's a very popular advice that is given. And it sounds very right. You know, every single woman is told that, you know, you never know how things will go. Always just keep aka little kanani.
Correct.
Unaficha kwenye sufuria huko jikoni, kule hata pata, you know, as in hide it in a pot in the kitchen so that your man doesn't know about it. Have an account that he doesn't know about it. And the truth is, good people, let's just be honest. That advice sounds so good. It's right because you're protecting your interests. All right? But guess what? That advice is teaching you disunity in a marriage.
Before you even get started.
So already you know you're coming into it. This person is a problem. This person, men do this.
Wow.
And it's not true. It's some men who have done it. And those men who have done it, it's the one thing that is spoken about more. You've not given this person an opportunity to prove themselves in this relationship. And so already right now, you're already on a back foot. You're already disunited. And because you're disunited, then you can't plan things together. You're constantly on guard. And when I'm on guard, there's a level of intimacy, financial intimacy we can't have. All right. And it's not just financial intimacy. There's a level of even emotional intimacy we cannot have because I'm protecting. I'm very careful, cautious the things that I do. You know, for men are told, you know, don't let her know how many, you know, accounts you have. Don't let her know the shambas that you have. Again, this comes from a very broken narrative because somebody did something and yeah, somebody was hurt somewhere. And so they put this in place.
Wow.
And so now this now becomes the code by which we live, which is very far from the center.
Yeah. And now that you talk about the guard, because even I, as a person, I'm a very guarded person. And I feel like, I remember when we were in therapy with you, one of the things you taught us is that couples have issues for 3 reasons. I'll never forget that particular session. You said background, you said temperament, and gender.
Yeah.
Do I still good student?
Very good, very good.
So, and for me, I feel like my guardedness originates a lot from my background and upbringing. And I think I would want maybe for you to help us. Let's even start with the women, because I don't know whether that's by design, but like 70% of my clientele are women. And Pasi, the stories I could give you about exactly just what you have said. It is, and unfortunately, some are actually merited. Some women have actually come to me completely disoriented. This guy has turned on you. You've just found out you have co-wives, or and then someone probably, I've even had someone come to me and say, "Wow, I really wish I listened when people told me have your own money as a woman because men will leave you, thirsty in the desert without water." You know, what would you say to someone who wants to foster a woman? You want to foster a healthy financial mindset for yourself. So whether you're dating, as long as you desire a marriage where there's that financial unity, as from a standpoint of a therapist, what would you advise us to look into to help us with that, to bring in that guard down? Because I don't think I'm against being guarded generally in the world. We need to be guarded. But as you said, we are literally sharing fluids with this man. We are sharing a home. We are sharing babies. We are literally sharing almost everything. So if you're the kind of a woman, and even a man, you can do for both, who tends to kind of like be so guarded, how do we begin to bring down this wall? Or how do we actually begin to, what conversations are we having with ourselves or within ourselves or with each other that you think would begin to bring this guard down so that we can, on the bare minimum, trust someone, trust your husband or your wife with, or your potential or your future husband or wife if you're dating or courting, with money?
I think this advice will go both for men and for women. Okay. And here's why I'll say that. Because the assumption is that the woman is the one who's always
hiding.
Yeah. But you see, men also have their things where they say, this woman is going to leave me, take half my stuff.
Yeah.
I'll keep paying alimony. She'll go and find someone else. I mean, it's just, it's a human problem.
Not just a man.
It's a human problem. Allow me to say this, but our sin nature has broken us to the point that the lens that we look at the world is a dark lens. So we don't see the goodness in the world. And I think for us to be able to, first of all, begin to have the correct lens is for us to gain healing. It's for us to ask ourselves. I remember, I always say this. Let me start by saying this. I always say this. The biggest problem that my wife and I had in our marriage was finances.
Oh, yeah.
Number one was finances. If it wasn't for finances, we would have a dream stage until today. Like we'd still be honeymooning until today. But finances was a big issue. And for us, we had to ask ourselves the hard questions. And we didn't even ask ourselves the hard questions. So initially we were united in our finances and it was working out. And then some things happened. We moved countries. Then, our finances went separate ways. And we seemed to be very comfortable there because now I control mine. She controls hers. But it was still an issue because then now there's rent to be paid, school fees, the kids are growing, the school fees is becoming crazy. So it was always an issue. We could never go eye to eye until one day we did this program. And when we did this program, I remember how they started us on a journey. The first thing was to ask us, what was your history and what was your background in finance? What did you see in your parents? And so I start talking. I start talking about, what I saw in my parents.
Yeah.
And in my parents, I saw disunity. I remember my dad would say, your mom, XYZ. And then my mom would say, your dad, XYZ. So already that right there has already input something in me that we don't trust the other gender. Okay? Now they come from two different cultures. So this one will say, Kikuyus are like this. These ones are like this. Okay? So then there's already that blocks, the cultural blocks, that these people from this part of the country, they are known for this. These people from this part of the country are known for this. And we have our stereotypes. All right? So that's number one, understanding the background of what has formed our thinking about marriage. And then the second thing is now, how do you understand, other than the background, what are the things that you have experienced that have caused certain little traumas that you have created systems and structures to protect yourself from experiencing other things? Was it a boyfriend who did XYZ, borrowed money and never returned?
Or you took a loan for do you copy that loan?
That's a huge one.
People are taking loans for people and they're
How? Like how? For a boyfriend, girlfriend?
Yeah.
I can't.
Can never be.
Can never be me. No, we sit down, we agree, me and my wife, not girlfriend, boyfriend. No. Never. That's one of the most foolish things. But again, what are the little traumas that have happened? And sometimes you did it out of the goodness of your heart, but somebody betrayed you. And so as a result, once bitten,
Twice shy.
I do not want to go back there because it was painful. So I put these systems, these structures that protect me and guide me from all this. So now those two aspects, what I saw growing up in my childhood home, what I've experienced over life, now begin to shape and form
my opinions.
And by the time we were done having a conversation, we were like, wow, we are broken.
Yeah.
We are really broken. Because I'm a kind, generous person. So I used to give when I needed. People didn't whatever. They would not give back. So I assumed people are mean, period. My wife is a generous human, but now I've come with a guard.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't trust. I will give more. So let me shikilia and not give as much. You get? So again, those things have formed and shaped who we are. The third thing is that many of us don't have just simple financial knowledge.
That's true.
And we haven't been trained in that simple financial knowledge. All right? So now these three things coming against you have got you doing crazy things out here.
Yeah.
You know, when you were saying earlier on about the women and stuff, I remember sitting with this insurance guy, and he was telling me, Pasi, there's something I want to understand. I have so many women, and it's more women who do insurance than men. But none of them have their husband
as a beneficiary.
As a beneficiary.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, most of them have a sister, have their mother, have, children, but not their husbands. And he said, hey, there's a lack of trust out here. Pasi, I can't get married. I can't. If this is how it is, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So again, there's a huge lack of trust that has shaped who we are. And so these systems and structures are blocking us from truly experiencing the freedom and the intimacy that we need for finances in our relationships.
Yeah. Do you know, now that you say that, like now for me, I've actually also heard from like a HR friend of mine who was also telling me that it's interesting how and this is what we were talking about earlier offline, about the gender wars that now we have going on. Because now for her, she was actually telling me that most men don't have their wives as beneficiaries in their pension. Because, HR are responsible for pension. They have their children or their mothers, but not their wives.
Wow.
But then you see, we've also been told, I hear men, like, the whole toxic movement where men have been told, you know what, your children are your relatives, but your wife is not your relative.
Wow.
Yeah, your wife is not your relative because, as you said, you could die and she could get remarried.
Yeah.
And I think for me, this is what brings now that unhealthy competition and the power dynamics. Because nowadays, mwenye pesa kwa ndoa ndo kusema.
Yeah, 100%.
So how would you, let me ask you, what's the most pivotal change, maybe if I was to ask you, and I think I'll also share for me and my husband what we've done. What do you think has contributed greatly to you guys now beginning to walk in oneness in your marriage when it comes to finances?
All right.
Yeah.
So, and I guess this is where we have a conversation about what healthy, power dynamics
looks like
in a marriage. Here's the first thing that I had to learn, or rather we had to learn. Number one is that the day we choose to say I do, we became one. All right? Now, there's a scripture in Bible that, people tend to lean or skew themselves to one part or the other so that it can favor them. All right? But one scripture that they don't talk about is the one that comes right before it. And this is in Ephesians 5:21. And this is what it says. It says that husbands and wives submit to one another in reverence to the Lord. What that means is I choose to submit to my wife. So when I said I do, I am laying down me for the greater good of the relationship. So everything that I am comes into this relationship to benefit the relationship. Hello? And that's difficult. That's number one where we are struggling.
Yeah.
Because the idol that we have made money is like, how am I
Well, ask me to lay down my security.
I can't. Yeah, how? So that's the first thing. And if you're not ready to do that, let me even look at the camera. If you're not ready to do that, then you're not ready to get married. Period.
Come on, somebody. What?
You're not ready to get married.
If you're not ready to submit one to another or
Yeah.
to lay down.
Yeah.
Not really.
Your life for one another,
Yeah.
then you're not ready to get married. And some people, it's a fantasy or a kind of thing for them. But whether they really are ready, and you should ask yourself that question: am I willing to give my husband, my wife, my bank account, my properties, my cars, my jewelry, my gold that I've hidden in Sijui, which safe where? Yeah. Am I willing to give them that and share and put their name on it, so that if you're not ready to do that for whatever reason, because you have some doubt or whatever inclinations from the past, you're not ready to get married?
Why doesn't anyone tell us that?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, we fantasize love, and that's what we glorify more. Yeah. We don't think about the structure. What does this look like? When the rubber meets the road. Because
now that you put it that way, it's so sobering. Yeah. Even for me as a married person, it's just like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not ready to lay it all down for this other person and to share and to be open about what I really have, then I'm not ready for this commitment.
Yeah. So what in essence this union means that I will be naked and unashamed in front of my person. What does that mean? It means transparency. How many couples have you met where the husband doesn't know what the wife is making and the wife doesn't know what the husband is making?
The couples that are in my coaching room.
Me, even, it's 3/4 of the couple come to my counseling room.
And interestingly, they have babies, they pay school fees, they pay bills, but you could literally ask someone who's been married 12 years how much their wife earns. They
don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah, and how much their husband earns, they don't know. Yeah. So what relationship do you have? That's the question I ask myself. What kind of because then you're not one. You're not working as one. All right? So it's that transparency that says that I'm laying down this for the greater good of the family. So once I've laid down this for the greater good of the family, have we had a conversation to ask us, what do we desire to see for our family? Now, this goes now into the conversations you will have with them. Do we have a vision for our family? What do we want to achieve? And most couples don't have a unified vision.
Yeah.
Everyone is min nataka, and then
there's what I want for myself.
Oh, right. Yeah. And there's what he wants for him. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's just make it clear. It's just that, how does this fit in to the greater vision
of the family?
All right. So there's the united vision that we want. Then there's the personal things that we would like to achieve. It could be like, I'm a traveler, or I'm a extreme sport junkie. So I want to climb Kilimanjaro, Kenya, go to Ruwenzori, Mount Elgon, Nini, and then travel to Europe and do the Alps, blah, blah, blah. It's just a personal thing. My wife is just like, ati tupande wapi? Panda. Nime soft life.
Yeah.
In the hotel.
Me and her same was that.
Actually, you're right. I can't even think of it.
I could never. Where am I? Yeah, because my husband is like those people. It's just like, hey, you go. In fact, I'll take you. Leave me at the foot of the mountain in that resort.
Yes.
You go climb them.
You do the spa treatment, read a book, drink a glass of wine. It's just, So we each have our different things, but our family, we have a goal for the family. One is we need to secure our future. What does that look like? We need to ensure we have a home, maybe some kind of income or passive income that will allow us to when we are, retired, to be able to have, something for ourselves, some income coming. We want our kids to go to uni, blah, 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 etc. Just all the things that are family dynamics and we need to achieve. All right. So once we have had that conversation and we have laid it all down, this is what we need to do. Then it's to ask ourselves, so what are we bringing to the table? All right. I'm bringing my 50K and my wife is bringing the 100K. And I'm saying that intentionally because now...
That is a problem.
Now, in today's day and age, there are many women who are actually
out
earning more
than their husband.
than the husband.
Yeah.
And it's become an issue. It's become an issue because apparently men are the ones who are supposed to provide. And I said apparently men are the ones who are supposed to provide. And it's not because they're not supposed to provide. But I hear also so many women talking, I want to just be a Proverbs 31 woman, who's just, just like that for my husband and Nini.
I see why you putting it like that.
You read Proverbs 31.
Listen.
Have you read it?
Yeah.
Please don't say something you're not talking. I mean, you have not read or don't understand.
Yeah.
Because what does the Proverbs 31 woman do?
Ooh.
First of all, she says she's so kind, she's so respectful, she's so loyal. It says she wakes up early in the morning, 4 a.m. uko. She prepares the home, etc., and the house. Then once everybody has gone to do their things, she goes to the shamba.
Yeah.
She takes care of the shamba. She even harvests, takes it to the market, sells. She's the ultimate hustler. She buys land. She shonas wools and flax and sells to the merchants. And then she does all this. Why? She does all this so that the husband can be celebrated at the city
At
gates.
the gates. In fact, we were joking with my friends, and like the day I understood the Proverbs 31 woman, I wasn't so sure anymore I want to be her.
I know, right?
Because I was like, this baby is hustling.
Yeah.
Alafu, mse amekaa tu kule kwa gates anapraisewa. And I'm like, oh, blessed are you.
Yeah.
I'm like, but in fact, you remember?
Obtained favor with the Lord because of this woman.
Because of this woman. So it's like, please, I don't want to be the Proverbs 31 woman no more.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I definitely hear you. And now that you raise this dynamic of women out earning men.
Yeah.
How if a couple is listening to us maybe and that's their dynamic, and maybe it has brought, because I think earlier on I was telling you that and I think even when my previous guest was here we tried to talk a little bit about that, and so how should that how should you maneuver that as a couple? So let's assume, because the shift in power dynamics is now what we begin to see, where, like, let's say your man was earning, and I think maybe you could speak as to the position that in the self-esteem and the kunatuyo, it puffs you up to know as a man you are providing and you're earning more and whatnot. And I feel like a lot of men move in confidence during that season. But if anything actually happens to your ability to earn or to your job, and now maybe your income has come down and the woman's or even if it's not that you lost your job, but now with women empowerment and more opportunities coming to the woman, you're finding that even though you are here, very, very quickly your wife is kind of like probably even out earning you at this point. And now you begin to hear, I want you to actually speak to this too.
Yeah.
Now she becomes disrespectful. I don't know whether she actually is disrespectful, or is it that you are perceiving this new change and maybe it's triggering fears in you. There's two aspects of it. So those are the two issues I hear mostly, that this woman is now becoming disrespectful. She's no longer submissive, whatever that looks like in that particular arrangement. And then also from the woman, now you begin to hear complaints about how the man is now lazy. He's not even helping around the house. So I don't know. I think maybe Ebo help us understand why. Okay, when men out-earn their women, nothing happens.
Yeah.
To be honest, nothing happens. Why is it that when women out-earn their men, it's now World War III?
Yeah.
Why, from a psychological perspective, what's that? What's that dynamic?
I really feel the reason behind that is really because of what we have set, the parameters that we have set as a society on who earns the big bucks.
Okay.
Let me take you a little bit back. All right. In World War I, in World War II, men went to fight for their countries, for their nations, I guess, to achieve world peace.
Yeah.
When men came back, all their jobs had been taken. Their jobs in the manufacturing, in the mines, they had all been taken by the women because things still had to go on while war is happening. All right. So what that did is it meant men had lost their place because a job is what gives a man purpose. All right. So now, in order for him to restore his place, all right, what that meant is that he had to now oppress the woman so that he can gain back his place.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, this is where the toxic whatever begins.
I've never even had this history.
So this is where the toxic thingy begins.
Yeah.
Because now, in fact, it's at that point that men started saying, your money is your money. It was actually that thing of just trying to show that I'm the man, I will take care
Of us, yeah.
All right. But I don't think that's how God intended for it to be. God gave the man purpose. He gave him vision. And he told him, I want you to rule over this world. He gave him a woman who the name that he gives for woman is equivalent to the Holy Spirit. And those are the only two entities that have that. The gifts that the Holy Spirit are accomplish God's will on earth. And it means this helper, who is the woman, has those same gifts. So I was listening to a reel today where what's his name? Dr. Miles Monroe was talking about this whole thing, where women are created to receive. All right. So your man will plant a seed in you. You will multiply it. 9 months later, you will give him a child. That child will not be called by your name. It will be called by his name. You carried that child. All right.
Yeah.
If he brings you nyanyas, vitungus, all those things, onions, tomatoes and stuff, you create a meal.
Yeah.
If he builds a house for you, you make it a home. That's the gift that God has given you to multiply things. So I'm personally not surprised that a woman can do so much more than the man can do. Because those are the gifts that you've been given.
Okay.
But the gifts of each person are so that they can benefit the union.
The union.
Yeah. If we were the same, then there was no need for the other one. All right? Pastor M likes to say that. If both of you are the same, there's no need for you.
For marriage.
So it just means that we complement each other and we have to see each other's complement. What gifts do I bring to the table? Now, here's the thing. My wife, praise the Lord.
Sorry.
She's a corporate woman. And so because she's a corporate woman, she has earned a corporate salary. I'm a pastor. A pastor don't earn no corporate salary. Not unless I decide to be panda mbegu kwa duma yangu. Not unless I decide to do that, then, and again, if you're doing things right, then you're not doing that. All right? Not unless I do that, I'm not making more money than her. But we've both understand, first of all, our place, our role within this unit. And as a result, then we have given each other mutual respect, understanding that I can't do it without you and you can't do it without me.
Wow. Yeah.
We are in this together in order to achieve this. And here is the thing. When you hear that you built together and the other person, once they made it, disappeared, chances are, if we explore, if we, investigate and go back and probe, in as much as you thought you were together, you are not together from the beginning.
Wow.
And chances are there are so many things that we can show you that you did against this person, that they were waiting for the day that once they make it, they'll be out. And look for somebody who will respect and honor them in that manner. Guaranteed, almost in 99.9% of the issues, of those whatevers, those issues, do you find such a thing. But all we know is that, this one wants nani, akaenda. And it goes both ways. Because the truth is, if you actually think about it, the true makeup, nature of the man, men are typically loyal.
Oh, really?
Yes, they are.
Oh, really?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
But because of what we have seen, if we can't say that. But a man's word is a man's word. He will honor, he will die trying to maintain his word. And you can actually see this when they talk with one another and deal with one another. All right? If you ever see him not being loyal and disappearing, if you check what it was, there was a lot of disrespect shown to that person, and they were waiting for the day they would have gap. Just like you see, there are some things, the woman was waiting for a day she would have gap, and she disappeared. Because for her, love, companionship is the number one, unconditional love, and chances are she wasn't being given that. And so she was not feeling safe and secure within that space. So then she heads out. All right? So again, we assume that it was the money, they became famous. No. There was an underlying issue. There's a deeper issue that made them bolt. All right?
Wow. And now that you're talking about like the underlying issue, I think one of the things that we also said in the previous conversation is how money disagreements and a money disconnection in the marriage is not just a money disconnection. And I think you're speaking powerfully to that by saying like there is always an underlying issue. So say there's someone who's watching us right now and they are in this situation. They're already married. This person is already the mother of your children, already the father of your children. You're trying to make this work, but there's a huge financial disconnect. There's no financial wellness. There's no financial intimacy. What would you say to them as some steps they could work towards trying to kind of like now, come together in that way? Because I feel it's just risky to be in a relationship like that.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age, in the economy that we are in. How do we address the traumas in this marriage to help us come to this place of oneness?
Yeah, I agree. It's risky because, again, like you said, united with not much money, you do so much more. Now imagine united with money.
Yeah.
You can do great things. In fact, this is how you'll be able to create generational wealth.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, though, the cultures that actually create generational wealth, there's lots of unity and there's lots of openness and they work together. It's only these cultures which don't do that end up, and there's something that we can say we can learn from those other cultures. All right. So how then do you do that? First of all, if you're listening to this and you have a partner and this is your struggle, first of all, share this with your partner and watch it together, because I think it's very important.
Yeah.
Because even the things that we have said right now should have revealed to you guys something that would help you now think, okay, we need to we need to change something.
Exactly.
We need to change something. All right. So the first thing I would say is that they need to ask themselves, what are the things that have shaped and formed my opinions, thoughts, and decisions that I make about money? All right. Not even just about money, but about life. So can you go to a counselor to now begin to do that background information that will help you now begin to unearth some of the broken, lenses within your life that form how you see things. Form how you see things. And once you unearth that, then it can now dictate or determine the direction that you go as a couple. Like I told you guys before, we didn't understand what was shaping. All I knew is that this woman is stubborn. She doesn't want to nanny. I was just like, how can I deal with this woman? And for her, she was just, for me, I was like, she's so strong-willed and set in her ways. And for her, she was just saying about me, hey, this guy is stubborn. I can't tell him something nice na akubali too. But in my head, I was just a male ego issue. I'm the one who leads this house. Mimi ndio kusema. But she had greater ideas than I did. Yeah. She did. Yeah. I mean, let's just face it. She had better ideas than I did. But because I've been taught that as a man, I am the one who does X, Y, Z. I was like, no, you wait until But where did I see that? I saw that growing up.
Wow.
I saw that growing up. All right, in the family home. So The moment we begin to unearth some of these things, we unearthed that, school fees dried. So because school fees dried, I couldn't one of us couldn't take ourselves through, my wife couldn't take herself through, college. So she had to work 3 jobs to get her degree. And so that's hardness, that's tough life. So by the time she's coming to me, she's just like, our children can't go through
She's
this. We have
already
to
tough.
yeah, she's already tough. She's like, our children cannot not go through school. We have to provide for them, because she understands this.
Yeah.
This is a life thing that has happened
to her.
Yeah. So now she's like, my kids can't go through this. You get, but it was just a thing that happened at home, So then now, because of this traumas, these things that have happened, it has shaped how we see things, and it shapes even how we see the other person,
and even how you show up in the marriage.
Yeah. So it becomes, it forms all those tough things. So I'm coming because I'm just like, I don't want that thing, but I'm projecting
onto you.
Yeah. And I'm projecting onto her as much as she's projecting onto me.
And that will just cause chaos.
Yeah. Interestingly, she's very similar to my mom.
Really?
She loves nice things. And I think that's probably what drew me to her.
Yeah.
She just loves nice things and Nini. Soft life. If we want to travel, Nini, in my head, I'm just like, wait. We are trying to eat pesa. We need first of all to get out. I don't know. I'm trying to, you get. So I'm already fighting this woman.
Yeah.
Instead of taking what she's saying and saying, how can we incorporate both sides? That I want to fight for this, but at the same time, we can go to Diani. Instead of going to stay in Nani, we can stay at Swahili Beach once in a while, something nice, or Sarova. Sarova. We can stay at Sarova in the coast, and they have some fantastic places. Even I think in the Savo they have one.
Yeah, actually the bush one.
Yeah. Those ones. Yeah, we have to go.
Yeah.
So how can we enjoy these things and put them in that thing you call, when you talk about budgets.
The budgets, the thinking funds.
The thinking funds, the budgets. So understand that we have expenses, but also we are doing life, so we need to create also entertainment.
Yeah.
So how can we put a little something for entertainment,
but also for school fees,
for emergency funds, for the loans, but also for retirement, so then by the time we are sitting to think about through all this, I'm not fighting with her about. Now I'm asking her, this year where are we going?
We're going. Because you've seen the benefit of that togetherness.
Yeah. So when I say, this year, where are we going? I was thinking we can go to Dubai. I'm like,
why did that doobs?
I'm just doing the madafu, and I'm just like, but here's what's interesting. All these things can actually be achieved if you plan for them.
And if you work together.
And you work together. It's interesting how one of my friends who, like you, is a financial coach or wealth manager, one day in one of the classes, I was attending a class. It wasn't a financial, it was actually a relationship class. And as he was talking to them about finances, so I decided, let me go and sit, because I always say, I don't know enough. I can always learn. He said something so powerful. So he was talking about how, for example, if you guys are doing savings or investing or growing your money, one of the good places to grow your money, they say money market. He said, okay, let's take a money market. All right. That one has compounding interest.
Yeah.
If I have put aside 10K in my money market, like every month I'll put in my money market 10K because, we're doing well. Praise the Lord. We're doing well. So I put 10K. So this is how the graph will look. It'll look like this, and gentle, and keep going. And then one day, it goes like that.
Yeah.
But then he said, and we're just like, money markets, everybody is just getting excited about, it looks nice, that's a wealth management creation, Nini. But then he said, now, if both of you, instead of putting 10K, you're putting 20K. She's bringing her 10K too. So he said, now the graph, remember it went like this. That graph starts climbing here.
Sooner.
And I was just like, oh snap. The power of the two of you working together.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting. We finally did this 17 years into marriage.
No way.
17 years into marriage, meaning we've had issues, struggled, pain, and whatever, all those years.
Wow.
17 years is when we are learning these things. The day we chose to put our money together, the day we chose to put our money together, we've traveled around the world.
Right.
And we're not traveling on savings. We're traveling on interest.
Passive income. Come on, somebody. Come on.
We're traveling on interest.
Wow.
Like we could even say, we're not taking bonfire. Who's you?
Hey.
And they're amazing. And they're amazing. Yeah. And I highly encourage you to use a lot of these travel agents.
Yeah.
But imagine we were doing well enough to say that let's look at what all these travel agents offer. And we curated a 7-day instead of a 3-day. You know, you do 3 days. So we were doing one thing per day.
Wow.
One thing per day. And then once you've done whatever it is that we're doing, that tourist attraction, we go to the mall. She loves to shop. We do 30,000 steps around that mall. Of course, I'm dying.
You're just like, Osama Lisa.
She's just, she's in heaven, energy, she's like, oh, let's go to this station. Oh, there's a Sephora. Oh, there's this. I was like, but I'm dying. But imagine how fulfilling, how enriching that time together was. Because everything that we wanted was being achieved in the same.
Wow.
And it's because we chose unity. Now imagine how much more fulfilling, how much more enriching our relationship or marriage would have been. Because that was in year 17.
Wow.
I told you I've been married how long?
That blows my mind.
That
blows my mind.
Yeah. So now she's in a place where she's in between jobs. She's transitioning and she's joining me in what I'm doing, coaching and counseling. So that means the corporate income hasn't come. But it's not that we are struggling. But it's because there's some things in the last 3-4 years that we have done.
That you put in place.
When we were united.
Exactly.
And we're taking care of each other.
Yeah.
We literally are taking care of each other. Like, we may not have like a lot to do this and that and whatever, but we're just like, we're working together. We're literally working together. Like she'll say, we need this. Okay, there's kids' school fees. So we'll pay this. Yeah. Sour, So I do my thing, work my thing in the background. And then I bring, and she says, okay, here, tuweke uko. And guess what? The house is running. I'm not alone. The stress and the pressure on me is gone. The stress and the pressure on her to do whatever she needs to do and provide is gone.
So it gets easier for the both of you.
Easier.
Yeah.
Because again, we have determined this is what we need. This is where we need to go. And it's both of us who have said, but then now everybody has their role. Okay, what are you looking out for? What am I looking out for? Where are your strengths? Where are my strengths? And that's where we've put our strengths and said, okay, I'm cheerleading her for the things that she's in charge of, and she's cheerleading me for the things that I'm in charge of.
Oh, wow. Do you know, it's so interesting that you say that, because for us also it's the same. Because I remember before we came to see you for therapy, we were like that also. Like everyone, just do you. In fact, just pay whatever it is that you need to pay in the house. And interestingly, at that time, my husband was actually employed. And now we're in actually a scenario now I'm self-employed, he's self-employed. And that's not the easiest dynamic actually financially. But just like you, I feel like when we now became of one mind and of one accord, we've also been able to achieve, like kwanza this past 2 years, we've done more than we could have done even in the earlier years, just because of that. I'm just agreeing with you, like that unity and oneness. It just makes, even when you're earning little, because now I feel like we are probably earning less because of there's no employment income. It's not guaranteed. It's not regular. It's in fact, you could have unpaid invoices for the whole month, and we are 3 months down the line and they're still unpaid. But for some reason, no one is more stressed. Like there's just that, you know what, so what do we need to do here? But although I also need to admit that it is not the easiest thing to do.
It's not.
Because I've had to deal, kwanza mimi, I've had to deal with my own fears of men will leave you in the deserts, you know, without... And it's valid. I know unachekanga, but that fear is so valid. I feel like when you're in it, you just don't see anything else. When fear is such a liar. If you're in it, you just see, Aki, I will do all this. Nitakuwa Betty the builder, so we call them. Ladies call, I don't know what men call it, but women call a woman who's building together with their man, Betty the builder. So I will Betty the builder with someone and I will be left, you know? So, but then again, as you've said, when you are on this other side and you see the benefits, and I think you've anchored us so much when you began by saying, if you're not willing to be open and vulnerable and give your all to this person, then you are not really for marriage. Maybe finally, how do you rebuild broken trust? Because sometimes maybe you respected your partner, maybe you valued them, even if no one is 100%, no one is ever 100%. Maybe I've dealt with a situation just the other day where the husband was secretly gambling family money, and they are in a very, very tough spot. So, you know, these things like that. How do you rebuild broken trust as a couple? Maybe you see, like you're telling us 17 years. It took us 17 years to get to that point. And now these few years after the 17 years, it's been almost what we would call bliss because of that togetherness. What if there's a couple who's listening, or a woman or a man who's listening, and they want to get to that point? We don't want to give up on the marriage. We want to work on it. But there's a lot of broken trust. My husband or my wife did this behind my back. Or, you know, of course, there are so many things that lead to broken trust. How can you rebuild? And maybe as you conclude, you can tell us if, I don't know, are you open for people to work with you? Mi unajua nakuanga champion. I keep saying, Emmanuel, God bless you. Wherever you, when I'm happy in my marriage, I think of you a lot. So how can people rebuild that trust, and how can we reach you? You know, if someone would like that, to work with you as a couple, what would that arrangement look like?
Okay.
Yeah.
So first thing I want to tell everybody out there, and this is now because we have referred to me as pastor. So let me just say a spiritual angle that I've seen now happen into my life, now in my wife and I's life, is that the moment we became united, this is when doors opened, like doors we have no business walking into. And I think what that signified is that God could not trust us with money before that unity. Because when we're fighting, all that it was doing was just creating conflict and confusion in the home. But when we became united, now doors are being opened. And we're going to places and things are coming that we don't understand. Like, like you should see us, like almost every week, we are just like holding hands and we are crying. Like, we don't deserve. God. You know, like the doors that are opening. And this is in a season where we are building ourselves. both out of employment, but we're building ourselves. And that's when now doors are opening like crazy. But I believe strongly it's because of that unity that we are working together. I think God honors that, and that's when now the blessings will flow and open up. So how do you rebuild? I think the first thing that you need to do is to realize and to be open and say, we have a problem. That's the first thing. Admit we have an issue.
Yeah, there's a problem.
There's a problem in here. And then we need to iron out and put the problem on the table and ask ourselves, what is the underlying issue and what are the causes of this problem? Then once we have gained that knowledge of what the issues are, it becomes then easier to seek for forgiveness. So again, what have we said? We have said that once you put everything on the table, understand what the underlying issues, then it also now just tells you you had a deficit from the beginning. So it becomes easier for me to say, hey, babe, I forgive you.
Yeah.
And even for her to say, hey, I'm sorry. Even for what I've just put you through. I didn't realize this is the baggage that I was carrying that was brought to the table. So again, how can we open that up so that now forgiveness can happen? And then the third thing is to say, how can I lend trust to this person now? And we're lending trust because now we are choosing, this is the path that we're going to go. And again, remember, it's not going to be easy because we don't change overnight.
Yeah.
You've set those default settings over many years.
Many years. So you won't undo them overnight.
You can't undo them overnight. So you'll have to just be gracious with each other and just, allow each other to grow and help each other. But choose that we are supporting each other. For example, there are days we can see past tendencies come up. And then we will just have a conversation and just say, hey, I've noticed you did this and this. I did. And I didn't even realize that time. I'm just like, well, I've been called out. Then I said, okay, boss, babe, I'm sorry, sour. But you see, we become each other's champion.
Yeah.
I have come to learn that no one wants me to prosper more than she does.
Wow. Yeah, because she's the greatest beneficiary.
He's the greatest beneficiary.
Yeah.
And no one wants her to prosper more than I do. Because if she prospers, guess what? Even me, I'm prospering. Yeah, I'm that person who's just, I don't mind propping her up every single place because I know the more she grows, we are growing too. Because again, we are one. I don't have to be competitor. I'm not her competitor. I'm her champion. I'm her encourager.
Wow.
And when she benefits, I benefit. When I benefit, she benefits. So again, we've become each other's greatest champion on this journey. So again, you see, we used to fight each other. Now we are changing and we are becoming each other's champion.
Wow.
All right. So in becoming each other's champion, then now we have gone to the financial coaches. And the financial coaches have helped us now begin to set.
Yeah.
We've sat with somebody who tells us, what are your long-term goals? And we had to have a conversation about long-term goals.
Yeah.
In 17 years, we didn't have conversations about long-term goals.
Okay, but
We had individual, but yeah. So we've had now conversation about long-term goals. For us, retirement is right around the corner. It could happen here. It's right here, literally. So we have to be very intentional in creating structures that will allow us to retire well with the passive income.
yeah.
With the passive income. So again, we are working together and it's growing faster in this last few years than it has ever grown since we were, what?
The power of knowledge.
Can I just say, good people, if you're out there, I know you're hurting. I know you're in pain. I know you've given up. But I'll tell you this. Being indifferent, being separate, being disunited is utter foolishness and it's not working in your favor. And both of you, I repeat, both of you need to come to the table and do the right thing just so that you can begin to experience the richness of the relationship that you're hoping for. And I think that's for me what I'd say.
Yeah.
You know, one, we just need to admit where we're failed, admit where our struggles are. Just admit these things and then ask ourselves, where have they come from? And then now tackle them from that root cause and then just forgive each other. The truth is we are two broken human beings.
Yeah.
And we've just come together. And we didn't know we were broken. We thought we were okay. And for me, I only saw the speck in her eye. So she was the issue.
Not me.
Not me. And I missed that entire log in my own eye. So for me, that's the biggest thing I will challenge the couples out there to do. Stop. You're welcome to come to see me. You can find me. I can even give you can put my number. I don't mind.
Yeah, definitely.
It's 0717122470.
Yeah.
You can reach out to me on my Instagram. But also, one of the things I say, if you reach out to me, please know I am sending you to a financial coach and I'm not pointing fingers in any particular area. And that has to be one of the biggest things that you do, because this means nothing if you don't gain this knowledge. Yeah. If it means nothing if you don't gain this knowledge.
Right. And vice versa is true.
Yeah.
Even if you have all the financial knowledge in the world,
And you don't have
but you are emotionally disconnected. Which is why I felt this conversation was so important. Yeah. Oh, and you've given us so many gems. I don't even want this to end, but I know we've probably done an hour. So thank you so much, Emmanuel, for honoring this invite. It means so much to me. I don't even think you would really understand how much it means. We've worked together. We've walked the journey together. We still are. And I'm just happy that my audience can get, an opportunity to witness your greatness. Because I keep telling you time and time again, you are literally called for such a time as this. For me, my favorite thing about you is how we are able to have very progressive, open and honest conversations. And to have someone, and I think I'm just going to tell you guys this, to have a third party in your relationship who is neutral. He's not just for him or for her, but this person is actually for the marriage, is one of the most powerful things that you can do. So if you've been on the fence about getting help, I think people really struggle. I've had conversations with some of you who tell me, oh, it's so hard to get my man into therapy, or maybe even for women, we feel like therapy or just getting someone to walk with us or help us means there's something that's broken. And I think there's something you taught us even when we came to you, is that we shouldn't come when there's problems. Even when it's just good and things are okay, regular check-ins and just having someone who views things differently from how you do is very, very powerful. So thank you for doing that for me and my marriage, but also thank you for, honoring this invite. And I'm pretty sure guys have learned a lot. So God bless you.
No, God bless you. No, thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this is huge for me. You know how people can come in and things were not so good.
Yeah.
And then you see them now flourish, and then they invite you back into their life and you see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this right here is, it will make me sleep well. It makes me sleep well, I always say it doesn't pay much, but I am a wealthy man because of the lives that have been impacted. Imagine now Ethan has a richer opportunity to have, and I'm just like, what, so it's powerful. So you having me is probably greater than me. Me seeing you and experiencing this is probably greater to me than you having me over here.
Thank
you for that.
Thank you, guys. This has been so good. It's been powerful. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of this episode. One of the things I will challenge you is, honestly, have this conversation even with yourself. Find out what your traumas are. Find out what is that thing that is actually standing in the way of you having that financial intimacy in your relationship and in your marriage. And just like Emmanuel has told us, the first step is actually that acceptance. The second step is having that conversation. And if at all you need help, you guys know I've plugged you. I always plug you. Kwanza nawapeanga plugs mingi sana, you people. This is another one. Please reach out. And please share this video with your friends, with your family members. Remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Until next time, I've been your host, Coach Susan.